Good evening, East Brunswick. Welcome to the Town Council meeting for February 10th, 2024. I would ask that you please stand, 2025, yes. I'd ask that you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of quiet reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Good evening, everyone. So we'll start with a roll call. Tamar?
Councilmember Hall,
Here.
Councilman Wendell,
Here.
Councilwoman Winston,
Here.
Councilwoman Zimbicki,
Here.
and Council President McAvoy is absent today. Also present, Mayor Brad Cohen,
Here.
Administrator Joseph Criscullo,
Here.
and Township Attorney Anthony Iacoca.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, by specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda, by posting a copy on the bulletin board located in the main lobby of the East Brunswick Municipal Building, providing a copy to the Home News Tribune and the Asbury Park Press newspapers, posting a copy on the Township's website, and by filing a copy in the office of the Township Clerk, which will be entered into the minutes.
Thank you. Council, may I have an approval for the meeting minutes for January 27th?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Sorry, that's the EBA way. Thank you. Okay, we are down to presentations for today, and we have a special presentation today on our Community Development Block Grant for 2025. And we have our East Brunswick Housing Specialist, Susan Fine. So Susan, would you please come up and present to the council and to the public? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you for the opportunity to hold a public hearing at the council meeting. As Councilwoman stated, my name is Susan Fine, and I'm the housing specialist for the township. This public hearing is a requirement of the Federal Community Development Block Grant, otherwise known as the CDBG program. Its purpose is to provide information, answer questions, and solicit suggestions feedback for potential grant recipients. My goal is to generate involvement in and establish the township's commitment to proposed solutions for our community. The Community Development Block Grant is a federally funded program. This annual CDBG appropriation is allocated between the state and local jurisdictions. Excluding entitlement cities, Middlesex County qualifies as an urban county with a population of 200,000 or more. So federal CDBG funding is allocated directly to Middlesex County for projects in 18 municipalities, which includes East Brunswick. This year, the county has changed its method of allocation to these 18 municipalities. The county will no longer specify the amount granted to each township. Instead, the towns can apply for up to 3 grants and for a maximum request of $300,000. While there's no guarantee that this program will be continued in 2025 federal budget, or that any of East Brunswick's requests will be selected, we are operating optimistically. So the objectives of the Community Development Block Program are to support community activities that will benefit principally low and moderate income individuals and families, the elderly, and those with disabilities. For instance, American with Disabilities Act compliance is an approved activity. The preservation of historical sites, elimination of slums and blight, expansion of housing opportunities, and correction of health and safety code violations through housing rehabilitation are all eligible activities. Prior East Brunswick projects under this program include, but are not limited to, ADA modifications to municipal buildings, programs as well as transportation for the senior center, improvements to our historic and affordable housing buildings, improvements, repairs, and capital improvements for nonprofits serving our developmentally disabled seniors and low-income residents. The projects must be completed within an 18-month period of the grant allocation. Otherwise, funds may be transferred to other ongoing eligible projects. So the township will welcome comments and suggestions for spending of the potential CDBG funds. I can be reached at the township at my email, sfine@eastbrunswick.org. And submissions for this year's block grant are due by February 14th. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, we want to open a public hearing for recommendations on ways to use the funding. Is there anybody from the public that wants to speak on this matter only? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. And as Ms. Fine said, if you have any recommendations, you can email her at sfine, F-E-I-N, @eastbrunswick.org. So thank you. Thank you. All right. For today, we have two ordinances for a second reading. The first ordinance is 2502. And our clerk, Ms. Lawful, would you please read the ordinance?
An ordinance approving the fee schedule for the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Community Services.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call?
You got to
Open the public? Okay. So before we do the roll call, does anybody want to speak to the fee schedule for ordinance 2502? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Ms. Lawful?
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Zembicki.
Yes. Thank you. So now we have our second ordinance for second reading today, 2503. Ms. Lawful, would you please read the ordinance?
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Article 8, titled Department of Parks and Recreation of the Township Code to change the criteria of the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board.
Motion approved.
Second.
Thank you. Does anybody from the public, would they like to speak to this ordinance, 2503? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Zembicki.
Yes. Thank you. So tonight, we're going to go to the report section, and our first report from the mayor. Mayor Cohen?
Thank you, Councilor. Always forget that. Thank you. Thank you. There's just a couple of things I wanted to remind the public. I know last time I was here, we spoke at length about the state of the township, and there were lots of really good things that were going on in the town, and we should be proud of that. But I did mention that there were a couple of things that were headwinds, and I want to remind people where we are with that and what the plan is. The first was the fact that the township is long overdue for a revaluation. That has been ordered for the township from the state and from the county, so we have absolutely no choice but to do that. Most people know if you look at your taxes, your assessed value is somewhere in the neighborhood of 18% of the real value of the house. And in a reval, it just gets adjusted so that it reflects 100% of the real value, and then the rate gets adjusted down. Assuming there's no change in the value of your house, the rate goes up the same degree that the value of your house goes, the rate goes down the same degree that the value of your house goes up. That's something that, unfortunately or fortunately, there's only two companies that do revals in the entire state of New Jersey, and one doesn't really come down this far. in the state, so it's really one. We asked them to give an estimate back in the fall. We're still waiting for that. So we would have to get an estimate. The council would have to approve the funding for that. We would have to hire them and get on the schedule. It would probably take 1 year to 2 years for them to actually do the reval. And then at that point, it gets put on the tax bill. So we're talking a long time from now. But like I said, the clock's ticking, and we do need to do that, and we have really no option. The other thing I had mentioned was that we have a 4th round of affordable housing obligations that the DCA has given to every town. East Brunswick is no different. Our number is about 314, which is not that different than the last 10-year period of time when we were given 315. We are in the process of trying to speak and to the DCA and get them to look at the methodology that they used, because there's properties that they had counted that really isn't buildable. So we think we're going to be able to get that number down, but it will not go to 0. So that's something that we actually are on a tight schedule, because the state DCA has due dates that you have to follow by law. So that one we can't get out of. And then finally, I had mentioned that the Township and the Board of Ed, while we've had our issues and things that we've disagreed about, I've always said that we all need to start from a place of information that is available to everybody and allows people to digest information in order to make good decisions. One thing that's been going around the public for a very long time now is that in the redevelopment projects that we've been doing, that pilot money is something that usually gets taken away from schools. That is categorically not true. Generally, what happens in a redevelopment project is that the newer project is valued so much greater than the original project that the land value on the new project goes up, and the land value in a pilot program is paid in the same distribution as your regular taxes, with roughly 65% going to the schools, 20% to the town, 15% to the county. If the value of the land, which in most instances is about 20% or so of the total value of your assessment, that actually renders the schools more money than they had before the project was started. So it's just not true, and it would have absolutely nothing to do with the budget deficit that the schools had this past year. They are apples and oranges. They have nothing to do with one another. There have been a total of 53 kids that just in the last year came out of legacy. That did not account for an $8.3 million budget deficit. So let's all work from the same facts and make sure that we as a town figure out how to see ourselves through a problem. It is a problem, and there is a solution that's out there, but we all need to work together, but we have to work from the same set of facts. And so that's why I bring that up. If anybody wants to see the math on that, willing to show them how that works, but that's just the cold hard facts. So that's all I really have. By and large, most of the things going on in the town are exciting. Our rinks opening probably by October. We have the cricket fields opening up this fall. So we've got a lot of really good things to look forward to. But let's figure out how to see ourselves through some of the headwinds together. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mhm.
Okay, for our administrators report, Mr. Criscuolo.
I got nothing to.
Nothing. All right. Our attorneys report.
There's nothing to report either.
Wow,
Thank
this
you.
is
Nice.
Township Clerk.
I'll break the streak, I'm sorry, but it'll be short. Okay, so the East Brunswick Fire Districts 1, 2, and 3, they'll be holding their annual fire district election on Saturday, February 15th, between the hours of 2 p.m. And 9 p.m. Once again, the annual fire district election will be held this Saturday, February 15th, from 2 p.m. through 9 p.m. Voters will have the opportunity to vote for their district's budget, their fire district's budget, and to elect commissioners to serve on the Board of Fire Commissioners for their appropriate district. Mail-in ballots commenced around Friday, January 31st. Many of you should have received your mail-in ballot by now for this upcoming election. If you've received your ballot, as a friendly reminder, there are 3 ways to return your ballot. You can submit it via mail using the U.S. Postal Service. You can drop it off at the Board of Elections located at 26B Kennedy Boulevard here in East Brunswick. Or you can conveniently utilize our ballot drop box, which is located within our municipal complex by our municipal court and our police station parking lot. If you are a registered voter and you did not register to receive a mail-in ballot, you can also go to the polling location for your district and vote. If you live within Fire District 1, your polling location is at the Civic Center Firehouse, which is located at 310 Ruse Lane. Once again, if you live within Fire District 1, your polling location is at the Civic Center Firehouse, located at 310 Ruse Lane. If you reside in Fire District 2, your polling location is the William C. Peck Administrative Building, and that address is 216 Joseph Street. Once again, if you reside in District 2, Fire District 2, your polling location is at the William C. Peck Administrative Building, which is 216 Joseph Street. And if you live in Fire District 3, your polling location is the Colonial Oaks Firehouse. That address is 361 Dunham's Corner Road. Once again, the Colonial Oaks Firehouse for District 3, 361 Dunham's Corner Road. With respect to animal licenses, second reminder notices for animal licenses went out on February 3rd. If you did not receive that notice, or let's just say if you did not renew your animal license, I do encourage that you do so as soon as possible. It's for the health of your family or the health and safety of your family and the community as a whole. The township will be hosting a free rabies clinic this Wednesday, February 12th. The event will be held at the Community Arts Center from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. I do understand that we do have some inclement weather on its way. If we do have to cancel the rabies clinic, we'll post that information on our website. But as of this moment, the clinic will be held as scheduled, which will be this Wednesday from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Community Arts Center. Fingers crossed, everyone. You would have the opportunity to have your animal vaccinated at no cost to you whatsoever. The clinic is absolutely free to residents of Middlesex County. And you will also have the ability to register or renew your animal license at the clinic. So you'll be able to receive your free rabies vaccination for your pet, get your rabies certificate, you'll get your animal license should you choose to renew the license at the clinic, and your animal's dog tag or cat tag. Information about the rabies clinic is available on the township's website, the township's Facebook page, and is also located within our municipal building. Any questions pertaining to animal licensing or the rabies clinic, please call 732-390-6850. Once again, 732-390-6850. We hope to have a rabies clinic on Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a very excellent, thorough report.
Oh, really?
I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you. Council members, do we have any committee or board reports? Councilwoman Winston, thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. I'm here tonight with a Water Policy Committee update. As far as Route 18 is concerned, as you know, this ongoing construction has been being conducted in cooperation with DOT. And as far as our portion is concerned for the water lines, we originally projected our part to take us up until 2026 before completion. I'm happy to report that as of now, our portion is almost done. We're almost done. There are a few places where there have to be some T hookups, and we're waiting for a better time so that certain businesses aren't entirely disrupted by that hookup or that work that will take place. And we expect all of that to be wrapped up on our end by July of this year, which is extraordinary. And the water people are doing terrific work for us. Our water quality continues to be exemplary despite a recent huge uptick in water main breaks, and their crews are working very hard to get these repairs done. And while they're doing these repairs, they're taking existing old piping and they're replacing it as they go, so that as these things happen, we're continually upgrading our system to avoid future problems. And they're great people, and we don't really think about our water too much or how it gets here. We kind of tend to take it for granted, but we have a really great crew of people working extremely hard to make that happen, and they love what they do, and they're really proud of being able to deliver us great quality water. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you for the accolades for our water
They
department.
deserve it. Well deserved.
Thank you. Anybody else for, no? Okay. All right, we are on to the public portion. Ms. Lawful, would you please read the public comment statement? Thank you.
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the East Brunswick Rules of Council, the council asks the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. At the conclusion of the statements or questions from a member of the public, the council vice president, at her discretion, may choose to respond or not respond.
Thank you. So at this point, I will open the public portion. Would anybody like to address the chair? Please.
You need my name?
Yes,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
Atika Gunja, and I live on Berkshire Way,
Thank you.
East Brunswick. Thank you. On January 19th, 2025, 11:15 a.m. Palestine time, a ceasefire was finally achieved in Gaza. After 470 days, 15 months, and a yet-to-be-determined number of deaths and injuries, likely numbering in the hundreds of thousands, and a majority of them being women and children, and an unfathomable degree of destruction that our own government, who supplied the weapons of mass destruction, described as nuclear, a demolition site, and unlivable. The UN and other experts are predicting that it could take up to $80 billion and 80 years to rebuild Gaza. In the days since the ceasefire, we have also witnessed many historic events: the successful exchange of hostages, the return of Palestinians to their rubbled homes in North Gaza, the withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Netzarim corridor, and finally, the passage of desperately needed humanitarian aid to a starving population. Today, the temporary ceasefire hangs in the balance. In fact, just now, Trump tweeted out that he wants to negate the ceasefire. Israel has killed at least 110 Palestinians and injured 900 since the ceasefire, per the Euromed Human Rights Monitor. These are significant breaches of the ceasefire. Moreover, Israel has systematically accelerated its aggressions in the West Bank in Operation Iron Dome in attempts to make the West Bank, quote, unlivable. Illegally displacing over 36,000 Palestinians from their home, detaining thousands of hostages, including children, without any due process, and continuing its genocidal killing. Some of the latest victims include a 23-year-old, 8-month pregnant woman named Sundus Jamal Shalabi in the Nur Shams refugee camp in occupied West Bank, and an 11-year-old boy, Saddam Rajab, in Tulkaram, who was shot in the back in December by an IOF soldier in front of his home and family. The IOF soldier telling his father, "I am the one who shot your son. God willing, he will die." Young Saddam sadly succumbed to his injuries a few days ago. In 2024, Israel illegally annexed more land in the West Bank than in the previous 3 decades. And now President Trump is threatening the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians when he hosted the war criminal Netanyahu in our Congress last week. All of these acts are unlawful, immoral, inhumane, and they run counter to a ceasefire and lasting peace in the region. We condemn, I condemn, in the strongest terms, the invitation of a war criminal to our Congress. We condemn Trump's flagrant statements about the U.S. taking over Gaza as a real estate project and forcibly displacing its inhabitants to other countries, which amounts to ethnic cleansing. We condemn the actions by the Trump administration through illegal executive orders threatening deportation of pro-Palestinian advocates. We condemn the shameful, unconstitutional, and downright embarrassing attempts at doxing by Zionist organizations like Beitar that threaten to amass lists of pro-Palestinian activists and submit them to Trump. We condemn the infiltration of ICE in our neighborhoods and horrific transfers of migrants to Guantanamo Bay. We reaffirm our steadfast resistance to all of these offenses and commitment to see a liberated Palestine, free of occupation, apartheid, ethnic cleansing, and genocide. This town council failed to be on the right side of history by adopting a ceasefire resolution. Palestine was on the ballot in 2024 in the U.S. election. Nearly 1/3 of voters who voted for Biden but did not vote for Harris cited U.S. policy in Palestine as the reason why they did not vote for Harris. And in 2024, Palestine was on the ballot here in East Brunswick. The town council cannot continue to ignore us. We request this town council to take a firm stand today for a permanent ceasefire and an arms embargo. If you truly want to achieve lasting peace in the region. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, true peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. We urge the town council to protect our most vulnerable populations right now from these onslaughts, including non-citizens, students, people of color, LGBTQ, and the homeless. We reiterate our demands for complete divestment from the State of Israel, be it financial, political, cultural, educational, or otherwise, until it fully complies with international law.
That's time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? Please.
Yosef Schmidt, Lois Avenue.
Oh, just come closer and please. speak
Yosef
into the mic.
Schmidt, Lois Avenue.
Thank you.
Hi. I would like some time to go over with you, not tonight, but because I'm very tired after physical therapy today, with you with the actual calculation of the pilot program concepts. Last time I came here asking the question, I didn't understand what was going on. I still don't, and I'd love to have answers. It's just the response was very strange at that time. But I would love if you have my number, you can call me up, and I'd love to meet you sometime in your office and go over the calculation you said you'd go over sometime. Okay. I'm going to shift a bit to... Oh, we're just going to make an appointment?
Yes.
Okay, fine. All right. I shifted a little bit to the thing I was going to talk about tonight about Israel a bit. I remember when I was in Israel for Shabbos, I went to Telstone on Shabbos, and next to it there's a village called Abu Ghush. And Muslim Israelis live there, Muslim Arab Israelis, and they get along perfectly fine, the Jews and the Arabs in that spot. And they don't have fights. There were actually Muslims inside of Telstone at that, and they were just walking around, everybody, and tell me that they get along fine, they don't have any problems. I agree that town council didn't say anything about the Israel because you're not privy to intelligence reports about what's really going on. I don't know what's really going on. No one here probably has it, unless somebody here has any connection to intelligence reports from like the federal government. I don't think anybody really has any clue what's going on either. So I understand the town council keeping out of it makes sense, because if you don't know, how are you going to say something? The other aspect is about, I don't know about the separate concept. I don't know what to do about the whole situation in Gaza. They did have a separate state. The two-state solution everyone talks about was going on. As far as I know, Gaza was like completely on their own, nothing to do with Israel. And then they went and attacked Israel. And obviously this is a bit complicated. I'm not sure what to do, especially since in there you have jihadists teaching the kindergarten children about killing Jews and stuff. It's a bit complicated. I have talked to some Muslims before, and there apparently is a major argument in religious philosophy on something called, I guess I'd call them, I'm not sure that word for it. The jihadists believe that if you're not Muslim, you're sub-citizens. And there are some other Muslims who interpret it very differently, that passage from the Quran, that jihad means to go against enemies who are trying to attack you, or I'm not sure I understand it exactly, but along those lines. So apparently understand there are two different interpretations. I don't know. I've never read the Quran. I'm Jewish, so I don't really know. But I figured after the last comment to mention just in general some stuff I know. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the chair? Please.
Nawal Tufail, Tall Oaks Drive, East Brunswick. I would like East Brunswick Township administration to consider breaking ties with Yavne, an Israeli city in a genocidal country, Israel. This administration really needs to show that they really care about the tax dollars of its constituents by breaking ties with a city that is not only morally bankrupt, but also is a huge burden on American society and our economy. So I tried to enlighten this administration about the war crimes of Israel in last many meetings. There are plenty, and it's just a matter of anyone typing Israeli war crimes on your browser to see the real horrible war crimes that Israel has been committing against innocent Palestinians from decades. From stealing their land, burning their homes, killing Palestinians for fun, to last 1.5 years of attempt to commit a genocide, there is no limit to the war crimes. It's even brutal than what the Nazi did. At least Nazis were trying to hide it, but these Israeli war criminals are posting it online, showing it to the public, and guess what? Now all of their videos are used by International Criminal Court against them, and I'm really glad about it. And I really hope that they can be behind bars soon, inshallah. But today, I also want to bring another topic to this administration, and I'm sure you guys know this already, that Israel is a huge burden on U.S. economy. As per usfacts.org, Israel is the recipient of the most U.S. aid in the history of U.S. post-World War II. They took around $337 billion from U.S. taxpayers' money, from our hard-earned money, to do what? To steal land and kill Palestinians, to just grab their land. And they're still doing it. So basically, it's our administration should not continue to stay silent and let someone deepen our relationship with an Israeli city. I hope that you can reflect on this and do the right thing and make your legacy as one that stood by its morals and humanity. And I hope you're not threatened by anyone to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to address the chair? Thank you.
Jeff Winston, Fresh Ponds Road, East Brunswick, New Jersey. I've come to several of these meetings, and I definitely hear the pleas of the Palestinian folks who come here, and I'm also a believer in the serenity prayer of things you can change, things you can't, and definitely having the wisdom to know the difference. I have no belief that this council could ever impact what's occurred in the Middle East one way or the other. I did appreciate, to a small degree, and I say that because I don't know the word smaller than small, of the historical list that one of the speakers wrote, but they forgot about just one date. And if you don't mind, I just want to point out that 491 days ago, in a very peaceful part of Israel, some people, I think they called them Palestinians, flew in over the line and killed a whole bunch of people and abducted a whole bunch of others. So make sure you add that to your list next time you rattle off what's wrong with Israel. And in that area, they went into a village called Be'eri, and from there they took quite a few hostages, as we all know. And I am happy to say that about 138 hostages, as of to date, have been released. Still missing is a 10-month-old that I've been closely following, Kiefer Bilis, and it does appear, at least has been reported by the Palestinians, the group that you were mentioning, that he's dead. He was 10 months old. I'm not quite sure what he did to deserve that. But also released was hundreds of Palestinians have also been released. One of them recently, on his release date, was sure to mention he was going to kill the first Jew he finds. So that was exciting news, I guess, as well. But again, things you can change. In a short history, you have sister cities, which I think is great. I'd like the council to consider another sister city, BRE, peaceful village, not far from Gaza. Matter of fact, I understand it's within hang gliding with motor distance I'd like to see that considered as a sister city. I think we spend a lot of time acknowledging the 9/11 memorial. I know at the community center, we've acknowledged the attack at a Pittsburgh synagogue. And I think we acknowledge another terrorist attack, and that would be the terrorist attack that occurred on October 7th, 491 days ago. So for your consideration, please add yet another Israeli city of BRE as a sister city of East Brunswick. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Mr. Mayor, Council, Mrs. Acting President.
Good evening.
My thing is about, I brought it up maybe 2 weeks ago, I believe, that PSC&G is going to raise their rates significantly. And since then, I think the governor got involved. He's going to put a hearing into it to justify the increase if we do get it. So far, it looks like it's going to stay status quo. And the other thing, too, I don't know how many people have Comcast in East Brunswick, but their rates are getting ridiculously high. I mean, they keep raising the rates, and we have no competition for them. I was there yesterday, complaining about I have a house in Manchester, complaining my bill there. I was paying $169. All right, add another box, now it's $194. I get a bill $236. They raised their rates, getting less coverage. So I asked, how much would it cost to eliminate the phone? I'd save $10. That's the triple play. Shouldn't it be 1/3 of everything? But I think they need more competition if something could be done in East Brunswick. Years ago, I think it was Verizon Internet. We don't have that no more. I just appreciate if you look into it, because they really are getting out of hand. They're giving you less service for it. Used to have servicemen come to the house, check out your system. You got to check it out yourself. My system goes down. I got to check it out myself. Even my security system. I wanted to get batteries. Oh, you got to have a technician check it out. I said, look, I'm a technician. I checked out the batteries, a little round battery. I changed the batteries. I saved $60. But it's just that I really feel they're getting out of hand. And, you know, even the electric and gas prices are getting ridiculously high. Are we getting new meters for electric? Just what I want to know. I thought we were supposed to, but I don't think I got it yet. The house in Manchester, they put digital meters, all right? And since then, my bill went from $80, I'm never there, $80, I got a $280 bill the other day. How do I know they're accurate? You don't know. So it's just a matter of checking things out and just appreciate if you could do anything about it. Thank you.
Council
Yeah.
President, can I respond to this?
just gonna ask
Because
you. Thank you.
Mr. Aradisati comes to every meeting talking about issues that this council has little or nothing to input on. So let me first start with gas rates. There's the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. And council, if I'm saying anything correctly, please advise. Whenever there's a rate hike for any utility, it goes to them. There's a public notice that they're going to raise it. It's also sent out in your bill. So you get a notice that there's a rate hearing, and they go over the rationale of why the rate's going up. It's pretty succinct. The print may be pretty small, and I need to, go from my 1.75 readers to my 2.5 readers. But it's all publicly advertised. So they're the proper authority in the state of New Jersey to voice concern either about your bill or service. So PSE&G, for the most part, let's talk about the gas sides of things. They did a big meter upgrade throughout the town. A lot of us got new meters. They're electronic meters. A lot of people are complaining that their bill went up since then. I would say probably because your old meter was running slow, okay? So there were some people that got credits because their meter was running fast. They tend not to bill people when their meters run slow. And I could talk to this from experience. With the meter replacement program that we have ongoing with the water department, we see it. There's a little wheel inside there. These meters haven't been replaced in 30 years. That wheel is worn down. So a resident may say, well, I only paid $35 a quarter for water. Well, I don't know how that happened, but you were taking water or using water and not paying for it. So when the new meter got put in, which is a pneumatic reader, it is succinct and monitoring and calculating every gallon of water that you receive. Likewise with the new gas meters, which pick up, can be read remotely. So the right authority for you, Tom, to be talking to about your cable bill, your electric bill, your gas bill, is the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. As far as cable, Verizon has a state rights franchise. They can go anywhere in the state. This council does not have the authority to tell Verizon, you can't come into East Brunswick. Under the state, Verizon, I'm talking about Verizon right now. Under the state franchise, they were required when they received that franchise to do all the county seats, which means in Middlesex County, they had to provide service in New Brunswick. And I know the way the telephone company works because I'm retired from AT&T and Bell Laboratories. So they upgraded the service in New Brunswick. Anything that's close to that surrounding area that was serviced by that network hub made Verizon Fios available. So if you're in the Lawrence Brook section of town, most likely you can get Fios there. This council cannot call or have Anthony write a letter, a legal letter to Verizon and say, you have to do the whole town. That's factually incorrect, Tom. There is no control that this council can do. Where I live, I have Optimum. My bill is the same as yours, Tom. My sister has Verizon. Her bill is the same as mine, which is the same as yours. So unless you want to cut the cord, go with their internet or another internet provider, T-Mobile Wireless, there's a lot of other companies that offer wireless boxes. That's your option. Less channels. That's another option. But the reason why Verizon doesn't want to build out all this network, it's a lot of money to do this. You're a union electrician. You know what the hourly rate is. So when they send a technician to your house, it costs money. I don't want to pay for your guy to go to your house. You're the cost causer. So the long and short of it is also, all this stuff is going to be wireless within a couple of years. You're going to be able to pick whoever the heck you want. And I'm going to tell you, the price is not going to be that different. They're going to offer you a one-time type of thing. Unless you keep jumping around to service providers, it's going to continue to get more expensive. Another thing, the networks charge the cable companies to carry their stream. So they're getting hit with increased charges. I don't know if any of you like the Rangers. I know the mayor doesn't. But I want to watch the Rangers game. MSG Network is not on Optimum right now because they want to charge too much. And Optimum took a stand on that. So you got to you're paying for what you get. But you can't keep coming to the council unless you want to talk about a water bill, which we can control. But I will tell you, our water meters, the new ones, are succinct and they're correct. And a couple people that filed suits or called the newspapers, we tested their meters and they were running slow. And I talked to you about your water meter last week. You got 5 people in your house. Your bill's about $100. That's $1 a day. People walking around with Starbucks coffee paying $7, but they're complaining about their $1 a day water bill. $85 for a sewer bill. That's pretty good. That's pretty good value.
Thank you for a very detailed answer.
No, I just asked if it can be done. If it can't be done, that's no problem, that's all. About.
You can call the BPU.
We got a very detailed answer,
Okay,
right?
very good, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else for the public portion? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public portion, and we're going to move on to the consent agenda. For tonight's consent agenda, we have 19 resolutions for approval. Do we need any separated?
I just wanted to separate 2599, and Mayor or Mr. Criscuolo, if you would just, I think it's important that the public get another explanation of that, just to understand what we're doing and why, and
Sure.
the common sense of it.
Sure. Yearly, we've been doing capital funding for the Board of Education when they want to go out for bonded equipment. As a shared service, they provide service to us. So they pay us back in full, but we can get a better interest rate. So thereby, we're saving everybody money. That's really what it's all about. The buses for summer camp is also a big part of it. So we saved a tremendous amount of money last year when we went into the agreement about busing, because if you recall the prior year, we went out to bid several times in order to get providers to handle the busing for our summer camp program. So now we have a relationship now with the Board of Ed. We're thankful that the bus drivers and their associated unions are happy to provide the service. They stay in town. They generally went out and got other jobs, so they're happy that they're working for the township. And a lot of them are East Brunswick residents, so they know the roadways, they know our kids. So it's a real benefit for us to help them with financing, because we get a very low interest rate, and they help us with busing. And it's all about saving the taxpayers money. And that's really what it boils down to. That's all.
It's busing and other facility usages.
Yes, other usage, yes. Thank you, Jimmy. The newer one was the busing, though. That's
Yeah.
a big part.
So this particular resolution doesn't deal with the recreation busing for summer. This is for
we passed
other,
that.
last time. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. So,
It's part of the agreement that we
yep, another example of how that saves money
We wanted to
overall.
make sure they knew that we wanted that, so the bus drivers didn't go out and get other jobs for the summer. They'll go work for other bus companies.
Correct, okay. Is that
Thank you.
satisfactory? So we're really not pulling that, we just had a discussion on it, so we can move the entire consent agenda unless anybody else has
Motion
anything.
approved.
Perfect, thank you.
Second,
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Welcome.
Councilmember Hall,
yes.
Councilman Wenzel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Zambicki.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we do have one ordinance for a first reading tonight. That is ordinance 2504. Ms. Lawful, will you please read that ordinance?
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 51, Armed Security Officers of the Township Code to comply with the Security Officer Registration Act, NJSA 45:19A-1 et sec. SORA.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Second?
Second,
Council President, if you would, excuse me, this evening, in case there's any questions, I requested that the Chief of Police and Jason Fama, Lieutenant in the Police Department, come this evening. So if there's any questions that could be cleared up, the Chief is here and the Lieutenant that helped draft this along with our esteemed attorney.
Well, we're honored to have you. Would you like to come up and explain it? Thank you, Chief. We don't always get to enjoy your presence, right?
Before we do, I would like to talk about my cable bill. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Frank Casacco, right over there. So this is just to update the ordinance, just so you know. So from 1988 is when the ordinance was there establishing having armed security officers in East Brunswick, but the laws have changed drastically. Safety and security is the most important to this administration, as well as all you on council, as well as clearly the police department. So Lieutenant Fama for Professional Standards worked very closely with Mr. Iokoka and drafting this ordinance and updating it to how it should be in correlation with the Security Officers Registration Act, which basically requires that people have be certified and trained through the state. It's a state licensing thing. But most importantly, what you're doing is you're making it so that within no less than an hour that a security officer who's armed is in East Brunswick, they notify our station commander so that we know who they are to avoid any type of situation where we're going in. We know that there's someone who's carrying a weapon in a security capacity. That's what this is. Fantastic.
Very good, thank you.
All right, good evening.
Thank you both
Thanks,
for
Chief.
attending, we appreciate it. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall,
yes.
Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Zambiggy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to the good of the cause for council. Anybody have anything? I do have one quick thing. On Sunday, as part of the Rec and Parks Advisory Board, I had the pleasure of attending the St. Bart's Buffalo banquet. There were over 100 players and cheerleaders in attendance. And it's just important to recognize the importance of youth sports in our community. And youth sports, you know, it creates good character, it creates responsibility, and it was just an honor to be there with the parents who, without them, this would be nothing, right? And I thought the one wonderful thing they did this year, a little change, they usually have Rutgers past players come and speak. And this year they had former Buffaloes come and speak to the kids. And it was just very touching and they made connections. And that was really, really wonderful. And to see these wonderful, wonderful young adults now and how successful they are and how they really talked about the important balance of sports and recreation and academics. And it was just, it was a really beautiful event to attend. So thank you, Mayor, for not being there so I could go in your place. So thank you. Anyone else for public portion or of the council? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.